What is up? What is cracking? Collective. It's your girl Ash. And I'm gonna just be talking, doing some critical thinking, some creative thinking, right? Just seeing where my mind goes, where it flows. All right. I do this just to practice my mental strength. Yeah. And see where it goes, right? So today I was like, okay, let's just say who is this person? Now, who is this person? But the first thing I started to think about was Jumanji. All right, so the other day, like 2 days ago, I was on a train and I started to just think about the jungle. And I remember I talked about Tarzan and also the Jungle Book. But if we know, I was like, for some reason they're always connected. Like some movie is connected, right? And I know in that message I was comparing Tarzan to Mowgli, right? So I was like, what is the difference? And I believe Tarzan, see, he was raised by, oh, I believe wolves. And Mowgli, he was raised by, uh, I believe the bears or something like that. Okay, like once I stop talking about the subject, I forget. So it's one or the other, but they were both raised by animals. Okay, so um, it's something about that, but I started to think like, okay, what's connected to them both? I don't. Okay, what's connected to them both is that they both are old stories. They're both originated as books, right? So most of the time, like they say, the real thing that is the truth is always in the books, right? Um, because guess what? Writers write. Okay, so it's something about you writing here, okay, as well, or something that needs to be written, okay. But it's something about the books. Now, yeah, the books. Okay, now I'm seeing Percy Jackson as well. Um, I watched that movie, and of course, his best friend, he was actually a half goat, or he was a goat. And some of them inside of Percy Jackson, once again, they were like half horse, things like that. So it's animals, it's animals and humans, or it has something to deal with animals and humans. Now, what I'm thinking is imagine that basically, I don't know, did God create humans first or God created animals first? I believe God created animals first. Hold on one second. All right, so I believe animals was created first. Do we know what animal was created first? What was the original animal? All right. Y'all know they don't like me talking. So let me drink some water. All right. So what was the first animal? These are questions that lead somewhere. Okay. So what was the first animal created? Do we know? And what day did God create the animals? Also, when you think back and you look back, this can be connected to Egyptians, right? Because we noticed that, or some people say that the Egyptians was there or created before the Bible and things like that. So think about that the Egyptians, they started off as creatures. They were mixed, okay? They wasn't just a animal or like had legs at first. They were more than one thing combined together. Now, for some reason, a couple days ago, like all this is just coming free. I'm also hearing free for all, but a couple days ago, I was like, okay, amen. But I was also like, isn't it a Egyptian name, amen? Or some people say amen or aman. So I looked it up, and of course, I found out it was Amun, Amun, which he, what God is he? I'm really sure. He's a god though. He's like one of the first. Okay, and to think about who he was is that he had blue skin and he wasn't just looked like a human. He also had like, creature um creature like features. So, um now we come into that. So who is this person? That is the question. But before then, so it's making me feel like, maybe I'm wrong, right? We're just flowing and going, making me feel like maybe the first actual humans were creatures. And then how all of a sudden, like how the Moby story is and how Tarzan's story, and then they have an actual boy. It's a boy. It's a boy. It's a real boy. Like I'm getting that type of energy. Imagine, imagine like an animal birthing an actual human that has legs and things like that. Like, don't go too far with it, but I mean, when you think about it, right? Or they say, oh, we were monkeys before, right? So I guess it's the type of way you evolve. So when I was looking into Egyptian stuff maybe a little while ago, right, I didn't really pay it like go in deep. But what I started to realize is that, okay, when you have the first couple or whatever, they are basically like creatures. They're basically animals, creatures. And as you go along and as you see, as they have their lineage, the more they became human looking, the more the Egyptians became more of like an actual person looking. Now, sometimes when you saw them, like out of the bunch, like one out of the bunch, all of a sudden is like a creature again, have a fucking hawk head or a whole snake. So it's kind of like the chromosomes, kind of like DNA, kind of like when they be like, oh, every couple children will come out this way. That's the kind of thing that I'm getting here as well. Um so yeah. Um mhm. Now what else am I getting? So it's like, what if, and then this is what I'm getting. What if it was like creatures, not creatures. I don't even keep why I keep saying creatures. But what if animals took care of us first, and now it's time for us to take care of animals, right? And that's such in that way. Um, type thing. Maybe it's a cycle. Maybe animals and humans are all a part of life cycle, right? And the more you evolve, and you could think about how can something evolve something can evolve just like how the Egyptians was a creature, and then it kind of started to look more like an animal, and they started to more look like a creature, animal, human, and then they started to look more like a animal, human, and then they started to look more like just a human, right? Unique. So something about Percy Jackson, right? So all these are some way somehow connected because the movies are telling you something, but they're not telling you exactly what it is. Okay, so now because I was just got in my head, I was like, okay, so who is Percy Jackson's father, right? And I'm like, damn, who is Percy Jackson's father? But that was one of the main things that they talked about in the movie, is that the gods do not talk to their children. They don't really have relationships with their children. Most of the time, they just leave them, right? And they fend for their selves, but that don't mean that they're not watching over them. Once again, who is this person? Okay? So what the question is, who is this person? So they might be a person that is not around their children. They may have children but not always around their children. Maybe that's what I'm getting. Also how they are there with Tarzan, but then they also allow Tarzan to go into the city, just like in the Jungle Book. They, how they, he starts off being raised here, and then he goes out and be raised with someone else, or goes out to adventure on his own. The same thing with Percy Jackson. He has his mom, of course, but it's time for him to go to a school now. It's time for him to evolve and see things that he would normally never see. It's time for him to go to the camp now, right? I'm also getting with the Egyptians, who were their teachers? How did the Egyptians take care of their children? Who taught them their strengths, their weaknesses, their powers, their gifts? How did the Egyptians parent? It's something like that. And um, now the main thing, when I came on here and I was thinking about when I was on a train a couple days ago, it was the Jungle Book. And like I said, all this is tied to the same thing somehow. The Jungle Book. The Jungle Book has something to deal with Tarzan. The Jungle. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's not the Jungle Book. Okay? It's Jumanji. I'm sorry. Jumanji has something to deal with Tarzan. Jumanji has something to deal with the Jungle Book. Jumanji has something to deal with this. Who is this person? It is about Jumanji. Okay? I know that sounds crazy. Maybe we need to watch the movie Jumanji again. Also, is it a part two to Jumanji? I know that most of the time we watch one, like the first movie, but we don't watch the next movie. Also, is the same person creating the next movie? It's something important about having the same producer for all these movies. It needs to be the same producer, because when it's a different producer, it's not the same energy. And you got to think about, why didn't the same producer try to produce the next movie? I feel like things are better or best when it is the same, under the same management. You know, when people are like, oh, we're under new management, the struggle about being under new management, especially with something that you like, especially with something that is top of the line, is, can you deliver the energy or better from the first? So it's something about, maybe either when people are evolving, or maybe when the Egyptians were evolving, or from, this might have something to even do with the Bible, right? What is the specific differences between how they evolve when it is a new producer, when it is a new person that is in charge of what is being put out? Now, sometimes it's a good thing for a new person, but sometimes it's bad. Sometimes people just want to take control over somebody else's vision because they have more money. Like, you got to really think about it here. When a person makes another movie that's the first movie, but the other producer is not producing it, do they agree? Like, do the first producer of the first movie agree? Like, oh yeah, I support number two, like the number two movie, or the number three, I support it. Do they support it, or do they feel like, you're trying to take what I had and make it better, but okay? How do the producer feels when somebody else is making a spin-off to their original things? So even though we're talking about a movie here, we're still talking about real life. We're still talking about people. We're talking about management. We're talking about the world. So it's important, I guess, to figure out, who is this person? What is Jumanji 1? But about Jumanji 2, is it the same producer? Is it the same director? Are we talking about the same people here? Also, dealing with the Egyptians. Who was running Egypt, and then who took over? Did Egypt become better, or did Egypt become worse? It's also like sticking to the principles. What changed? And you have to be careful when someone wants to take over a certain business, a certain place, a certain planet, right? Whatever it is, a certain humanity. Why do you have to pay attention, and why do you have to be careful with that? Because they can mess it up, right? So you have to put it in the right hands and not the wrong hands, okay? But at the same time, did the person want to give up their like whatever it is, even though it's under new management? What happened? It's like questions inside of questions, right? What happened? Why didn't the producer want to make another movie to it? Or why did the business go under new management? All these questions about why, right? And I always got to say this: just because of what you hear about a person or a thing does not mean that's the actual thing that happened. So who is this person? In Jumanji, we know that we have the man, I believe he wears like this brown suit or khaki suit, and he wants to take over. I don't remember why. I know that I believe he hunts animals. I believe. I'm really not sure. I gotta watch it. So he is inside of the game. And yeah, he's the enemy, right? So why is he after the children? And also, is he in control of the animals? Like, I don't remember. you know, so it's questions that I'm asking that I really don't know, but it's connected somehow to something. And it may be something specific. Like, why are he after the children? And is he is he using animals to hurt people, or he's trying to kill the animals? Okay, so in Jumanji, of course, the children, I do remember they are like running from certain animals. Like sometimes the animals was just a overload, right? They were just all over the place and you would be scared. I believe that maybe that was the animals that he controlled. It's something about different types of controls here. Was the children in control of certain animals? Like every time it was their turn, like rolling the dice, right? Was the children in control of certain animals and he was in control of certain animals? I'm not really sure because I don't know how the game works or how it went. But it's something about who is in control of certain animals. This could also be certain people, certain species, certain blood types, certain ethnicities. Who is in control? This could be also like I'm seeing a map of the world or a region. Okay, so this could be the world. This could be the United States. This could be the state. This could be the districts. This could be the blocks. Who is in control? Okay, so the person that passed away, which was the dude off of Mrs. Doubtfire, had the beautiful smile. Um, he was inside of Jumanji, right? I hope I'm correct. That's what I'm thinking. I'm correct. Alright, something about Jumanji, right? And that leads to something else. Leads to who is in control. Um, Animals, humans. Um, are they produced by and directed by the same person? For some reason, I'm always getting the same, the same, the same. And what's just not important is the first movie, but the second movie as well. Number two. This also could be a representation of something. I'm noticing that a upside down two is actually a music sign, or it's actually the sign of a Capricorn. Alright, so that's what I got for right now. And let's go figure something out and do some investigating. Adora the Explorer. Peace.